looking forward to this.
All right.
A little nervous about what's going to change.
Yeah.
Staying the same.
I think he'll be really happy because Ty and Daniel, the authors, have been really involved. Not because they insisted on it, not because we, everyone said, the novelist, you could, it's potentially, if you butt heads on certain things, it could be, but it's been just an amazing collaboration. We hung out with them in New Mexico for a few weeks, and we're just like, they're just talking the same language. They get what we're doing, we get what they're, so we don't have to be afraid to collaborate. They were in the writer's room, we wrote scripts together. They're great at screenwriting, of course. First scripts they ever written, they're awesome. They can't suck at one thing, they have to be great at everything. But so they've been, when we make changes, we have to earn them, and it's more like we get to debate it out with them. They say, we layered this for this reason. We're like, yeah, but what about this? And it's just a back and forth. It's a great. They get to rediscover their own story because we're asking hard questions, saying, "Hey, that'll never play on screen. What about this?" But I think I was just reading Leviathan again the other week, and I think it's a remarkable how. You forget over the layers and layers and layers how much has changed. It's really, really faithful. And we've broken some chronology, we've moved some characters forward and stuff like that, but that was largely to give Earth a perspective in the show, which it wouldn't really have in the first book. And so certain stuff, thank you, certain big structural things, they're not really changing the nature of the story, just the order in which you're going to see them and the different perspectives. And now we're looking at the second book, as this first book segues into the second, and I'm feeling like it's really they're just cinematic writers, so we're not having to. We've worked on adaptations over the years, and most of the time you have to find the heart of it for a movie or a show. That wasn't really tough with this because I think they wrote it with a lot of visual, kind of seeing it already as a show or as a movie ahead of time, and they did a lot of of that heavy lifting for us in creating worlds. So I think you're going to really find that it's super faithful. Certainly the things we change are certainly in the spirit of everything came from the book, whether literally or just in spirit, but it's all really, really in the Expanse universe. I don't think there's anything you're like, where'd that come from?
Where's the alien?
Yeah. And Ty and Daniel are there to keep us honest, and we're like, hey, we think you could have gone further here, and they're like, no way, and then we'll have a fun fight about it, and whoever's idea sounds the best will win.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Well, you got a pretty amazing cast. How did that come together?
Yeah, it was just trying to imagine all these people and who they would. They don't really. The weird thing about the books in that we went back looking for clues about physical qualities and characteristics, and almost never do they tell you what someone should look like or even how old they are. It's sort of hinted at, and only a few characters are very specific ethnically or specific age-wise, but generally they just let you paint your own picture, and you get your Holden is different from someone else's Holden, and we just looked for people who plugged into the characters and the story the best, we just said, what do they feel like in the books, and then we go no, she's this age, and she's looking for Naomi. There's 2 clues given about Naomi in the whole book about what she looks like or what she might look like, and we went back saying, no, I'm convinced there was more, and then we look back and look, and there's not, and they never tell you what year it is, and they never they have all the stuff that you put in your own head. You think you read it and you didn't, which is part of the magic of the books. They leave a lot of space for the audience to paint their own characters, their own tone, their own, and I love that about the books, because they don't answer everything, and we're trying to keep that spirit in the show, where it's the audience help create I think the best shows now are they leave that room for the audience to plug in on their own terms, and I think we would hate to lose that, because it's a lot of the magic of the books. So and I think the guys have been. We've just been so lucky to have them there, because they can answer, hey, what's this? We're starting something here, and they're like, well, 3 books from now, that's going to be important, so don't change that too. They'll keep us from going anywhere crazy that's going to damage the mythology going forward, and and also they're super open to us questioning anything that we want to do something different with, or go deeper, or take a crazy left turn on. They're like, just let's just say it out loud and talk it out and argue it out, and there's nobody's precious and nobody's pulling rank. It's just a room full of cool people trying to figure out the best possible story to tell. So it's been a great. And if we make more shows, they're going to be even more involved, next time, because I think they really had a good time.
When you make those
that's right.
Did they have?
How do you plan on expanding past the book fan base? Like, I've never read the book, so I wasn't familiar with it till I heard.
I think it's you just go back. There's no good answer to that other than if you like it. It's the show I've always wanted to see. I'm working on it because it's a show that it's never really made quite like this, and it's a show I've always wanted to see. And it's not really. I think it's universal. I think in a weird way, the way Game of Thrones attracted people who weren't fantasy fans, or because it's about power and family and struggle and overcoming your. Can you overcome the nature of your birth to be whatever, self-determination? It's about all these things that people.
But they spent a lot of money promoting it at the beginning too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do you have a budget for promoting?
I hope so. Thankfully, that's not. No, well, they're like, I think their support down here has shown. I mean, they've. Sci-fi's done an amazing job just letting everybody know we're here. We're showing it, and to kind of put the imagery and the characters in the cafe, and they're just trying to really create awareness, because we are coming from the book fans. There's a huge amount of book fans, but then there's everybody else, and I think if you just tell a real these are stories about I think sci-fi is generally off-putting sometimes for someone like my mom, because she doesn't care about ships and planets and anything. But what she does respond to is, family and people, struggling to, it's basically a story about, what's idealism like when you're 20? What's idealism like 20, 30 years later? Like, how do you keep your faith in humankind when you've seen so much horror and terrible things over the years? How do you stay an idealist, or how do you rediscover your idealism to do something heroic? And so it's just about universal stuff, and I think that ultimately translates past genre, because I don't love genre stuff per se. I don't go to stuff for a genre. I go to it because of individual characters, individual struggles, whatever. A lot of the stuff we've worked on in the past, we've clicked with. We worked on the first Iron Man, and it wasn't because we were particularly in love with comic books. We just loved a bad man realizing he's the bad guy and saying, I'm going to reinvent myself and become a good guy, to fight my old self. I just love that story, and my writing partner loves it. And that's a story that I think is universal. Can you recreate yourself and erase all the sins of your life by changing, making a real change to your soul and in your actions? Can you turn your life around? And I think that's just that's a story that resonates, whether or not you like comic characters, whether or not you like any kind of genre. So I think that's really what we're focusing on, is just tell human stories that are really that we love and that we think translate to. They're about anybody in any situation. They're not about you have to love science fiction. And also a lot of sci-fi is about lofty. You have ship captains and Picard and Kirk and Adama, like these really like awesome, almost like philosophers. We have ordinary people just struggling through their lives. Most of the people in our show are they're just workers, or they're cops, or they're just trying to get through life, and they're struggling with a lot of the same stuff we struggle with, and so identifiable and really, the guys, Ty and Dana, had said they wrote a space opera, but it's the opera part they care about, the people part. The space part is just it's an awesome backdrop where you can tell a story about people, and and again, that's one of the immediate things we responded to when we read the books. Is like, this isn't the kind of normal. It's not genre first, and then let's tell someone it's the other way around. It's all about the technology. We're like, where's all the technology in your books? They're like, it's there. We just don't care. And it's like, awesome. It's not about technology, and we're like, is there any artificial intelligence there? Yeah, it's all there. It's somewhere in the background, but we bring it up when it's important to the story. And I was like, wow, it's a story about the future that's not obsessed with technology. Because I agree, I don't think technology is going to ruin us, and it's not going to save us either. It's just going to level out, and it will become like it is now. It's a ubiquitous part of life. I don't see any revolution to human thought. It's not going to change us as a species. It's going to be here and stay with us, and it's not going to rise up and destroy us, I doubt. But it's not going to solve any of our problems either, the important ones. So I think it's cool to not focus a show on how our relationship to technology, because I think that story's been told really well a zillion times. We don't have anything to add to that, other than technology turns out to be less important than we thought it would be, as opposed to like, how do we evolve ourselves and our souls and our way of treating each other? That's the part that we have to work on really hard still. And technology actually complicates that issue. When we get the atom bomb or something, we're like, we can give clean power for humanity forever, or we can blow ourselves into kingdom come, with the same exact technology. So that's why we love the books. They're focused on the opera part and not space, technology, aliens, hyperdrive. I mean, there's a cool scene in the show I think you'll like. It's about what going very fast in space does to the human body, and it's not pretty. To go really fast in space is painful and messy, and it's not. You don't just press the hyperdrive and come out the other side and go woo. It's like the body can only take so much in terms of gravitational force, and so those kind of details you don't see usually in these kind of shows. I mean, we like to revel in those because they feel like they bring it to life for people more, to put you in there and say, we're still just people. We have bodies. We can't ignore that.